Hey, what's up, everybody? Hope you're all doing very well. Today is Sunday, November the 26th. Good afternoon. Hope you guys are doing extremely well because we're one step closer to the end of a possible good year. And if we finish off this year in this type of manner, I believe that Bitcoin's going to have the potential to hit some really cool numbers next year. So let's take a look at Bitcoin and what has been happening so far. I think that this pattern for Bitcoin is a major pattern right now, and we've been holding here for about 16 days now. If you notice the last pattern, you're going to notice that it took 16 days to break above this Bitcoin pattern right here, above these highs. So around 16 days. And then if you notice right now, since this high that it made, we're also 16 days in here as well. And if you notice this major trendline support, that's now been holding for 32 days. This is a major one. So due to the fact that we're getting a series of higher lows and we're getting a series of the same highs where we're trying to penetrate it around those price points, it would mean that this pattern is now in. And until this pattern breaks either to the downside or to the upside, we do not know what Bitcoin could do. So these patterns are always going to reach the epic conclusion, especially when they have formed into this pattern for a long period of time now. So the big question is Bitcoin going to break around the $38,000 this year? And in my opinion, we're not really sure what's going to happen, but either way, whatever price Bitcoin finishes off at for the end of the year, which is going to finish in about 5 weeks or so, the year of 2024 is going to be a wonderful year because it's the year of the halving. And if you just generally take a look at the returns of the Bitcoin halving years, okay, so this is the halving year right here. We're taking a look at, I'm going to take out 2013 or 2012. No, yeah, it was 2012. So this is 2017. And also this is 2021 over here. What we see is that regardless of the halving, there's always a drop before the halving or after the halving. So a capitulation is going to occur. In 2020, after the halving, there was a major drop that occurred, 70% drop. But in 2016, the halving before that, there was a major drop. So in one year, there was a drop before, and one year there was a drop after. But either way, they were major drops. So because of this data, where it's likely to see a capitulation before or after the halving, but around it, it's likely to assume that next year in 2024, there will be a major capitulation as well. And if you were to ask me when is a good time to buy, and I was speaking to a good friend, and I was going to give myself my own advice and I'm planning my accumulation periods, I would probably want to accumulate during this next major capitulation that is likely to occur. And if it does not occur, then Bitcoin will be extremely bullish. Okay, and that right there is going to be a great sign that we're going to have a great 2024 year leading up to 2025. So every time there's a major halving, we end up rallying huge for that entire year, regardless of if there's a drop or not. The year always ends up finishing off extremely high after the halving. So, for example, here, okay, this is the 365 days or so, okay? So you can see the days there. This is the end of the year. In the first year, in 2017, in the halving, actually, I'm going to go back to the end of the year over here. So in the end of the year, around here, okay, so for 2016, in that year, the ROI was 1.49. So regardless of what Bitcoin started off at, the ROI in 2016 finished off at an ROI at 1.49. Whereas in 2020, that halving year, the ROI finished off at around 3.36. So doesn't matter if there's a big capitulation or not next year, or in the years before in 2016 and in 2020 when there was a halving. What we know from conclusive data is that the year always finishes off strong, which leads into the bull market year. So leading up into the bull market year, there's some major returns. So in my opinion, it always makes sense to be very interested in Bitcoin around the halving. Whether it drops or not, I'm gonna hold long term because I know for a fact from the data that it's gonna lead into some monstrous gains. Right now as well, the total crypto market cap for the log regression valuation right now, we're undervalued in the crypto market cap in general. And if you've noticed, it tends to stay undervalued for a period of time until it reaches that fair market value band, and then it crosses over into a bull market for a long period of time. So for example, here's 2023 when it starts to cross over. Here's 2017 when it starts to cross over. And here eventually, in my opinion, it will cross over near 2024 to 2025. So we take a look at lots of metrics right now, historical risk levels as well. What we've learned is that anytime it's around zero point 0.2, it's a really good time to be buying Bitcoin. And every time the historical risk level gets above zero point 0.8, between zero point 0.8 and 1, when we compare that to the Bitcoin price, what we see is that, let me just show you and remove my camera for a sec. So see 0.2 ranges. Every time it gets to 0.8 to 1, we can conclude that it's reaching near a top right now. Okay. If we took a look at Bitcoin's fair market value on a regression band, we can also see that we're trending well below it for a long period of time now, just like how we always do before leading up to a major bull market. So right now, the way Bitcoin is trending to me is indecision for this 32-day period of holding as a support. Now, there's always a possibility that we're going to launch to the top side drastically. But in my opinion, I think that it would make sense sometime soon to possibly retest around the $31,000 range. Reason for that is because, well, we broke above it heavily, as you can see over here, but it took a long time to break above it. Here, it started to form this resistance since January of 2021. It holds here in May, June, July in the bull market. It holds here for 30 days. Finally, we break below it. Tries to get above it twice here last year in April and in July. And then finally breaks above it. So in my opinion, it makes a lot of sense to be checking it at least one time to see if we're going to possibly hold there. If not, if there's no retest in any way, then Bitcoin would be viewed as very bullish. If we break above here, realistically, the next logical point of a resistance would be where there was a major drop and then a pullback next. So that price point would be, I would assume, maybe 40K. But this, after that drop, it only pulled back 6%. So 40K is not even a strong resistance. So a drop and then a pullback up. Maybe this one, but this one only rallied 11%. So then there's 43K, which is not that strong either. But the strongest price point for the next logical resistance would be $48,000. So if we start smashing above these highs of 40K, 43K, then 48K would be the next logical price point to reach. But until then, I just can't see Bitcoin reaching there until 38 is clearly broken above. But what we're seeing is a series of bearish candles starting to form here now. And the most important thing to notice around this 38K range is that the volume is starting to diminish as well. If you see the volume here, it's definitely starting to die down. That's not a good sign of trying to break above a resistance. We can see a huge red sell volume, and that's not a bullish candle. It's a nasty candle. So we see that right now there's 3 consecutive candles that are very low in volume at a resistance. So we're not seeing that type of momentum you would want to see at a resistance where there's interest and trying to buy above that particular price point. So this bull market is definitely very interesting so far, where there were tons of coins like Gas, Blur, Rune, IMX, Mina, tons of coins. If you take a look on the monthly chart here, that have rallied to just epic numbers, okay? TIA, lots of coins have been moving a gigantic amount. So when the bull market comes, I'm going to be switching over from basically a day trader, where I've already switched over to more of a swing trader, because I realize in every bull market that I keep missing out on these massive profits. So right now, like, I highly recommend that you take a look at my course. I released it on Friday. It's a brand new course. It cuts out all the BS, and it's going to teach you my exact strategies of learning how to ride on a higher time frame using the chandelier exit indicator. So I'm going to teach you how to enter using a specific strategy of continuation patterns or using the chandelier exit indicator. And then I'm going to teach you how to upgrade it to a higher time frame so you can start riding it on the highest time frame to the maximum possible. And unlike my other courses, I wasn't really sure about the exact strategies I would use. I released a bull market course back in January, but I believe that this one is my final masterpiece. I made it affordable for everybody to take a look at. It's $199. So definitely take a look at it, because I believe it has the power to truly change your life. So take a look at it in the link below, and I guarantee satisfaction. If you're not happy with it, DM me, man. But I know for a fact that when you see this strategy in action, you're going to be like, that's just crazy. I'm going to be able to definitely utilize something like this. So I hope that in a bull market, you also focus on capitalizing on a higher time frame so you can ride it to the maximum amount, rather than wasting a lot of energy and a lot of stress as well, having tons of stress day trading in these small percentage gains. Go for the big percentage gains, and that's what I'm going to teach you. So just to summarize on Bitcoin right now, I believe that we are indecisive, and I think we're more likely to hit back to the lower ranges over here. A lot of the alts are also starting to correct. So it makes more sense for us to hit down over here in that lower range before we attempt another breakout, because as far as I know, for 2.5 days now, this is a failed breakout based off of the fact that the candles are showing bearish price action now, and the volume is slowly diminishing around the 38K region as well. So I would expect back down to 36.5, 37K, and then we'll reevaluate. But in terms of what am I looking at longer term right now, for day trading positions, I am looking for Rune and Blur as well. Rating for Rune to make a drop to the downside and start accumulating around $4 to 450, because I believe it's going to make another rally to the top side. And also I'm looking at Blur because I believe it's got some ways to rally still to the top end there around the $80 range. So other than that, have a great day. I look forward to having a lot of you as my students. You will definitely be 100% satisfied. That's all I can say with this new course. Give it a chance. It's only $199. You have nothing to lose. And you're going to come out walking out of that course with tons of confidence. And you're going to say to yourself, this strategy is going to work for me as well. So I'll see you there. Bye now.